Welcome to Product Leaders, a podcast series by Orbis. I'm Ben Moulton, your host. Thanks very much to all those of you who've been with us since the beginning. And if you're new, then welcome. You're in for a treat. I'm continuing to grow the podcast by getting new guests, more topics, and coming up with different ideas to improve the podcast. That said, my goal is still to use the podcast as an outlet for insightful discussions to inspire people starting out in product, as well as offering advice to people who are already in the product world. As always, I need your help to grow the podcast. If you enjoy listening, and then please share it with your network, give the show a follow wherever you're consuming it. Thanks. In today's episode, I'm joined by Mladen Subašić, Chief Product Officer at OIP InsurTech and Bound AI. Mladen spent over 15 years transforming the insurance space through technology and AI, helping redefine what automation looks like in one of the world's most traditional industries. We'll talk about how he transitioned from project management to product management, the real challenges of AI adoption in insurance, and why curiosity is such an essential trait for any great product leader. Hey, Mladen, welcome to the Product Leaders podcast. Great to have you on. How are you? Having a good day?
Doing good, Ben. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Good stuff. Well, obviously, we've been planning this recording for a while now, so it's great to finally get you on, and had a bit of a brief last week, didn't we, over lunch? So that was always enjoyable to meet up with you.
Always, especially in London. That's your area, so you pick up good restaurants every time. So yeah,
oh, I'm glad. Well, I guess we've got a few different topics that we want to cover today. We'll go into whatever order seems natural as the conversation flows. But I guess maybe just to start with, for people who don't know you, could you just give a bit of an introduction as to who you are, who you work for, what sort of stuff you're building at the moment?
Yeah, cool. I've been with OIP InsurTech for the last 15 years. Where I started is actually behavioral science, so it's not a natural progression over to technology product management, nor insurance. But yeah, from there I transferred to business analytics, and then just went step by step through the entire firstly technology projects inside OIP, then heading the innovation product, down to chief product officer, leading our product teams. They're building a lot of cool stuff. Although when you say cool stuff in insurance space, people used to kind of think that not much of cool in that. But insurance is a very complex area, a lot of very interesting problems to solve for. So yeah, I stuck around, and I'm still here. So yeah, OIP InsurTech is kind of a Swiss Army knife for insurance technologies and services. We cover anything from business services and business consulting all over to technology services, managed projects, and we also have a product arm called Bound AI. And we'll talk a bit more about Bound AI later. So yeah, been in the space for a while, built a lot of cool stuff. Happy to talk to you about all of that today.
Nice, cool. Yeah, thanks for the intro. I think maybe one just interesting question that I'm sure sort of generally product people will be interested to hear about is how you made that transition from project management into the product world. So I guess tell me about that transition. How did you find it? What kind of route did you take?
Oh, that's a very, very interesting one. So people would argue that even the product work is a set of small projects and step projects towards accomplishing a goal. So definitely a project management background and working in technology projects helps a lot, especially when you're during that process being mindful of actual problems. The difference a bit is in a project world, you have a goal to meet, which is usually business driven, not much discovery of problems, not much being at the forefront of actually trying to mine for the problem and then take that back and then make something valuable for the customer and then transfer value back to the business. In the project world, the business value is at the forefront. So you're getting goals and then you're trying just to get everybody on board on how to accomplish that goal. It's almost like, in my mind, project's background is great with the twist that you always have to be at the lookout of how to do stuff better and what the real need is compared to what the want is when the customer is giving you their objectives, their goals, and their vision.
For some people, I guess they'll be interested as well. Like, was that a conscious decision that you made? You wanted to go into product management, or did it just kind of naturally flow like that?
Yeah, yes. As soon as I learned about product management, obviously, that's back in the days. You're just looking at what it is first, and I was digging out to see where it actually started. So it's actually started in kind of a category management, more towards brand management in the industry. People who were original product managers outside of technology world were actually like jacks of all trades that knew their market, knew their categories, knew their customers, the needs, and they were kind of managing the production floor, managing the marketing teams to build the right product and to position it properly and all of that. So in technology, that role was really useful when we started building all of these software and technology products, and when you had to be very knowledgeable about what are you actually solving for, so you place the best bet and hypothesis what the solution would be, and then to drive everybody towards it. I found it very interesting from day one. So yeah, for me personally, it was a conscious decision that, yeah, I am going to be in product management. That's my career. That's it. For some people, it's just natural progression through the company. But I do believe it's one of the most interesting traits in the world currently. Definitely.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, obviously, being a product recruiter, hosting a there you go. Not a surprise. No surprises there. Me as a CPO, no surprises there. Cool. Yeah. I think it sounds as though you've got you had maybe the attributes and like the interest and like curiosity to move into product anyway. Maybe it was maybe it was kind of a a step that you consciously made, but equally it sounds not everyone has those kind of attributes to go into product. So yeah, sounds like you definitely had that.
You called out a very interesting thing there. That's curiosity. So I think that's number one personality trait that you have to have in order to be in the product. So that's it. If you are curious about how things work, if you're like, why is this done like this, or why are these guys doing this, especially in the insurance space. Now in insurance, there is a bit of a dichotomy on what the product management is, because insurance product is the actual risk transfer, the volatility transfer, right? So that's the policy is actual the product. So the end product. But before that, managing the insurance product is completely different than managing insurance technology product. So I had a bit of a rough time explaining to everybody what my actual role is in insurance products. That I'm not building bespoke insurance coverages, or I'm not rate making, or I'm not the actuary. It's technology products and insurance. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a nice segue. I'm curious as a as a product recruiter to find out about Bound AI as well, because that's obviously the sort of newer part, isn't it, that you're working on. So yeah, tell us a little bit more about the difference between OIP and then Bound AI and how they kind of work together.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So OIP InsurTech is predominantly a services company. We tend to be a full stack partner to anybody building or anybody providing insurance products. So what that means is we span anywhere from business process outsourcing on more complex tasks and workflows through technology teams that are working on accelerating the projects inside of our partners, which are carriers in London, syndicates, MGAs, predominantly US and London. That's where we play mostly, although we are geo-expanding heavily. We are also a solution implementation partner for a couple of companies out there, which means we just bring their technology over to their customers and we make sure that technology does the job. Bound AI is the product arm of OIP InsurTech that we started, let's say, 6 years ago. The need that we recognized was in our world, when you look at the core systems and all the other systems inside of our area, that's as it evolved through insurance history, it was just supporting enough of the process so they can issue policies and potentially issue invoices, and everything else was kind of a table stake or less important. This is the underwriting world where producers and salespeople are actually making the money and everybody else just a support function. That's how technology was treated as well. Bound AI came out of the need to create a way to capture all that contextual, unstructured information that's around the core systems and bring it to a point where it can produce insights or help them meet their objectives and have truly automated processes outside of that core. So you can imagine that today what we are trying to accomplish is to give more autonomy to the software, because how the software works is we collect all the information from multiple unstructured sources, but we have to have like 99% accuracy across. So we are certain at the output. Once we take all that information and put it into a single place, a single data hub, from there we can launch different workflows, different tasks. So we can fetch for insurance quotes. We can send data down to the core systems where they can do the actual work. We can issue policies, but more in an autonomous ways, because we own the context and we own the tooling. So the AI has much easier time of understanding what the intent is and recognizing and making some small decisions down the line, and truly automate the process without that if then else and somebody just telling it literally where to go left or right. That's the whole idea behind the product.
Nice. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I think that the the insurance as a space is obviously an area that's massively going through digital transformation. So I guess marrying that up with AI, which is obviously a huge topic at the moment, it makes total sense, right? To automate a lot of those processes. And I guess these are essentially like AI agents sort of built into these products. Is that how you'd
exactly?
Yeah.
What helped us is we were early believers in AI technology. So like 7 years ago, we already started building this vision. Now the tooling was not there yet for some things. We were very happy when we saw tooling maturing. People argue that AI agents are still kind of tend to get sloppy or slow or not fully efficient or effective. And that argument stands today, but you will see the progression being really, really huge, probably unparalleled compared to any technology that came to the world like in the last 20 years. It's evolving very fast. It's doing a better and better job. There's a lot of work for everybody in the space to help the technology evolve, to help technology find its customers. But I'm very certain that we're going to see returns very, very soon, and everybody being much happier. You know how these go. These hype cycles are like completely insane. One day the world is changing. You have AGI. The second day, the best that you can do is create something like brain rot, and kids are happy about it. Then you come back to fully automated enterprise, and people are just really following the waves. I do think that once everything settles, there will be a lot of quality work in the productivity area that will be released, and we are going to see huge benefits from the technology.
Yeah, nice. I guess we're sort of talking about adoption here, aren't we? Really, and that like it's all very well building these cool products which do these things, and obviously answer a need of the customer, but the adoption is super important. I was reading a press release actually, and I think I'm not sure if it's a press release, was something on your website, and I quote you that the future of insurance isn't about who processes more work, it's about who can do it smarter. Well, I guess to that point, I think that's great little line there. I guess what are your customers are adopting these products? Like how it's an interesting space, insurance, and it's been around for a long time. So they're using them. What's the adoption sort of rate like?
Well, I can give you a data answer, and I can give you the answer of actually what's happening in the trenches. And what we are seeing in the data answer is actually putting us at forefront of innovation. So this is the first time in history that the insurance is adopting AI faster than other industries. So I have some bragging rights here, right? And I do see that. Although the AI is huge, it's almost like you're asking how many of insurance carriers or agents are using SaaS. And there are different flavors of SaaS. Like there are different flavors of AI. You have in-house projects, which are kind of a lab project that like insurance carrier would finance to find a pocket of like productivity somewhere to release or somewhere to cut costs. You have big programs where use of AI becomes mandatory. You have these spot projects where you find literally a function in the company which needs to be now moved to the AI paradigm. So there is a lot happening, and there are also insurance products such as us being introduced to the stacks of the insurance companies. Where I see, obviously my area and where we started, which means like getting this information from different sources, documents, and into a proper place, and then summarizing it, preparing it for decisions or action. That's where the technology advanced a lot. So we are seeing huge difference in results of accuracy, of reliability, confidence, and all of that. That's where the technology matured more. Now, there is a barrier always to adoption. One of that being in insurance, people like to hold on to what they think their secret sauce is, and they think that cannot be augmented. But as they see more and more value, once they bridge that gap, they're very fast at adopting. So you can see that one of the biggest concerns is actually, we thought that it's going to replace my job, or it cannot do it as I am doing it. It's not that, nor security. The biggest concern is actually the accuracy, whether it's going to break, whether it's, especially in a customer-facing function. So is my insured going to be jeopardized in any way? Is it going to be slower? Is it going to make an error? Is that going to make me lose my customer? So there is still lengths to go to actually prove the reliability of it. The usefulness, I think, like the understanding of usefulness is really high, but actually understanding of reliability and confidence you can put on that technology is still in the making. So that's how I would position it.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess that makes total sense. That is often one of the concerns, isn't it? How, what is the what's the effect of this going wrong? Using AI to replace certain activities, and I guess particularly insurance. If it's been pen and paper for years, or certain kind of systems for years, that's a big change. And I guess I speak to people in payments who are adopting AI, and ultimately we're talking about people's money here, and you've got to be very careful with that. So yeah, it makes total sense. There's that concern. I suppose, I guess my question is how do you, as a product team, building these products for the customers, how do you approach that concern? Is it just a case of making sure that the product is more robust, or is it more about actual customer adoption and working with them to understand the concerns and addressing that more on like a personal, human level, rather than just making the tech best? How do you actually go about that?
Oh, that's a really, really good question. I think it's down to both dimensions, which is not down to, it's actually both dimensions. So what that means is, in the back end, the infrastructure and everything around the AI process has to be robust, it has to be resilient, has to be secure. And that's where the gist of work actually goes to. Making sure that once deployed, it's reliable, that we can come back and see why it made a decision, to trace it back, to follow the logs, to make sure that it raises the hand and calls for human assistance when there is a need. Now, that builds trust with our customers, and that's step one, so we can show them that the product is actually going to be reliable. Once that is out there, and that's usually the first process of vetting the product and the RFPs and answering those questions. But when you're actually coming to the users, to people who will be benefiting from the technology, there has to be less. So they have to feel that there is a magic there, not AI. They shouldn't be caring what technology is out there. And we are always trying to put a minimum complexity into the process, so they just feel that their work is better, without necessarily going into how this amazing AI technology is actually now expanding the possibilities of what they can do, and all this. Just focusing on what they need, hearing them out, being very, very mindful of how their process looks like, even beyond what they are saying, doing more of a service design exercises, looking above the line, below the line, left and right, and then crafting something for them that's just going to solve the problem. And then you can, once you have an idea how it will work, and once you compile that for them, then you come back and explain, hey, but this is a cool piece of technology. This is how we actually did it. But reveal the magic after they feel it, not putting that at the forefront, which is, we have to fight that urge, because everybody just wants to see, hey, look at this thing that we built. But it's actually, look at how we are solving your problem. That's the whole idea.
Yeah, I mean, that makes total sense. I guess ultimately, I guess that's what you're trying to do, isn't it? Solve problems for these customers. So I guess I can understand the temptation of, hey, look at this really cool product. But ultimately, I suppose customers just want it to work well, and just for them to be able to sleep at night, that going to crash.
But there's another thing that needs to be taken into consideration. Once you start solving the problem and they see what's the capability, then they start going everywhere. Oh, and can you do this as well? And can you just go to my agent and collect this and tell me whether I'm good, or scrape all the websites in the world and just give me information about this and make me 100% certain? And 100% is actually a number that we are hearing a lot lately. So like, can it be 100% accurate, 100% certain? So there is then that dimension of actually, again, doing less and making sure that they understand that this is where the value gets created. We will think about everything else later, but this is what we need to focus on. And that's very difficult once they get hyped. So you're working hard to get them hyped and, get them on board to advocating for the technology. And then once they get hyped, now you're pulling back and saying, hey, let's focus on this thing, and then we'll move elsewhere.
Yeah, totally get it. It's, makes it makes sense. I mean, I see in my day-to-day life, like just recruiting and embedding AI into stuff I do, and then you suddenly get ideas, don't you? Of, oh, can it do this? And then when it doesn't do it, you're like, hang on, I want it to do this, and it's frustrating, I suppose. But you're right, you got to get people on that journey, haven't you? Get them excited.
So,
cool.
I can interview you a bit now. So tell me, percentage-wise, in your day, what do you think you're using AI for? Like, I don't know, out of 100% of time and your workflow, where would you put the number?
I'd say probably a good like 20 to 30% of my actual workflow. I would say for sort of actually in my day, when am I actually engaging with AI? Probably only 10% of the time. I'm talking about things like, just a deep research on companies and deep research on particular candidate pools and, just researching for podcasts potentially, and then sort of building into the workflow would be automated messages and automating AI of what's actually the content I'm creating, that sort of stuff. Yeah, that's a lot of what it would be.
And that's where it starts. So even in insurance world, where companies can do the most work is giving the tools to their people, right? Just giving it to them and explaining, doing a lot of like kind of an in-house training before they even introduce products. They need to invest time in education before they present them with what this new bright future will be. So exactly as you're using it, it's the best way. Once they get comfortable, once they see that it's paying back, then they're going to say, give me more. That's the whole idea.
Yeah, definitely. No, I definitely feel that. I just wanted to talk about sort of UK versus US. You obviously mentioned that that's mainly where you guys are operating. I guess, are they different markets? I mean, obviously they are different markets, but how differently do they actually operate? What's their adoption like for these types of products? Do you have different use case and kind of customer types just purely based on location?
It's again a very good question. So if you were asking me this question about technology as a whole, let's say 5-6 years back, I would say that US has much more freedom to innovate. The decision cycles are much shorter. They are trying and getting the value first, then thinking about how to hedge it, how to govern it, whilst Europe and UK are predominantly first thinking about what danger can this be, and then the first thing we built in AI is the European Union AI Act. But in UK today, it's an interesting thing that the number of AI companies that are getting built is, at least in my world of insurance, at pair with what's happening in US. If not even in some areas, UK is leading, which is an interesting motion. Right. I see that you guys over here have that good, you have a good connection with the universities. You have a good connection with talent. I think that's a very important motion in this space, because to be really the best in AI, you need to have the best people, period. Best engineers to put it in the right place, in the right way. And that's where I'm most proud of my teams, both on the engineering and product and AI side. On the AI side, particularly, you need people that are research level talent. And that's, I think, where UK did a really good job at hiring and getting the right people in the seats. So, and the adoptions are great. Talking to brokers today, they're all in. You have all of these parametric carriers around that are using AI to create their portfolio. Okay. So I see UK being in some areas at pair, in some areas at, just leading compared to US AI companies. So both sides, again, US has always been amazing with adopting technologies. They are, and I'm probably used to them being that good on that side. But UK is either catching up in some areas, leading, and this is the first time that I can say that I like what I'm seeing. That's it. I really like what I'm seeing and hearing from our partners who are doing an awesome job at getting these productivity AI toolings into their workflows.
Yeah, it makes sense. I was just interested to see the difference. Cause again, different industries, different domains. It's obviously.
It's a very important question. Yeah. It's a very important question because before this, there is a thing we are working a lot with the Lloyd's market, which is a part of the specialty alliance insurance. Mostly, it's a very bespoke, very complex. They're writing everything in the world. They're best at it. But there was always a thing that Lloyd's comes up with a blueprint. 10 years later, there is a blueprint 2. 5 years later, there's blueprint 3. Nothing gets actually done. Meaning the true value is not being accomplished. It's mostly on the companies themselves to do the adoption and everything. Lloyd's market today, the participants in the market and everybody, they're not slow at all with these things, and that's very encouraging. It's an old business, traditional one, which needs a lot of data, a lot of intuition, a lot of understanding. It's a craft, and there, you need to respect that craft. But on the other side, they have been really good at now, just getting these tools in and getting them even better. That's it.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds good. I guess just to wrap up, I guess what's next? What's next for you? What's next for Bound AI? I guess where do you see the AI space going in the next, say, 5 years? It's quite a long time.
Yeah.
maybe the next 2 years.
But we are getting into kind of AGI scenarios and AI taking over the role probably at one point. Not anytime soon, I think. So what's next for us as a company is I think we are always playing with the bleeding edge. So we are right there. So for us, it's how to create more autonomy. In the beginning we wanted to create acceleration, then automation. Then now we really are all in about this autonomy and actually giving more trust to the AI to do some awesome things. Where I think everything is going is there is huge volumes of investments going into the space. Everything will settle at one point, and I'm not being smart here. Just reading the papers, reading the analysis, reading the market. There will be kind of the market will settle at one point. There is insane amount of money and trust being put into this technology, and I think this technology is actually playing a higher role at this stage than it should be in the world economy. Once that role is reducted back to where it fits, meaning where it can help with people doing their work better, being more productive, understanding more, it's going to expand the knowledge space hugely and the information space. So that's where it's going to be awesome. Once that happens, this technology is here to stay. We're just going to be making it better and better, putting into more machines, putting into more workflows. And it's a very exciting time to be in this space. So that's where I see it going.
Nice. Yeah, I like it a lot. Cool. Well, Mladen, great having you on. Thanks very much for your time. Hopefully you enjoyed our chat.
Always.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I'm sure that people, in the listening to this will be wanting to connect with you on LinkedIn as well. So we'll make sure that we can add your details into the bio. But yeah, thanks very much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Ben. We'll talk in 2 years again and see what actually happened. That's always fun.
Definitely.
Thanks for having me.
I'm Ben Moulton. That was Product Leaders, a podcast series by Orbis Group. Thanks again for listening. Really hope you enjoyed it. please go ahead and follow the podcast on whatever platform listen to it on. There's loads of other content out there, including more episodes that I've posted over the last couple of years. And of course, if there's anything else you need from Orbis Group, we've got things like market insights, salary guides, more events and roundtables. So just connect, reach out with us. And also in the show notes, you can see my LinkedIn. So you can click on my URL there and connect as well. Thanks again. I hope you enjoyed.